Hello everybody, this is Tolkien for number 2, and no, I'm not talking about the quality of my videos. I'm here to bring you the first episode of Tournament Tuesdays. From now on, I will be bringing you every week one in-depth analysis of a tournament match. Today, I will be focusing on the first direct elimination round of the Rage Open. The two players therefore had to compete with 6,000 other players to get there, which means this is the highest level of Shadowverse. The first game is a sword versus sword mirror. We will start directly by analyzing the mulligan's decision. In the mulligans, you can see both players had support cannon in their starting hand, but decided to mulligan it away. This matchup, sword versus mid-sword, is mainly based on board presence, and you cannot really take your turn 5 off to cast a support cannon. Therefore, they are mulliganing to get a better draw, to be able to present pressure by turn 5, and to stop their opponent from being able to play a support cannon. What's really interesting is that both of them decided to mulligan support cannon, which shows that this is likely the right call in the mirror. We will be moving a little bit forward, as the first few turns were not really eventful. The only thing we can say is that when you have Bladed Hedgehog in your hand, you cannot really play it on turn 2, as it gets punished way too hard by Lancer of the Tempest. So the first real interesting decisions comes on turn 4. The red player has two big decisions. Either he goes for Waltz and Bullet to kill the Lancer of the Tempest, or he trades with the Lancer with his Hedgehog. What's important here is to think about the next few turns. If he uses his Hedgehog to trade with the Lancer of the Tempest and just pass his turn, his opponent cannot go for a Gawain evolve and therefore cannot set himself up for a turn 6 Arthur. But at the same time, the red player has Arthur, Sky Fortress and Gawain in hand and really want to bait his opponent into playing a board, so on turn 5 he can play his Gawain and evolve it. Had he not had Waltz in hand, I feel like trading with Hedgehog and passing the turn would be the correct play. Playing a 3-4 in the mirror is not really achieving anything because it gets killed by all evolved creatures in the deck, and Sword doesn't have an easy way to deal 1 damage to clear things up. Then we get to Crimson's, the blue player's, turn 5. Here he can either use all his mana on Celia and make 2 other creatures, or play Lancer and Hedgehog to clear the whole opposing board. In both situations, he will have to use an evolution point this turn. The thing is, if he goes for Lancer Hedgehog, he's left with only 1 creature on the board, whereas Celia leaves him with 3, and as we said earlier, this matchup is a lot about being able to create a board present and keep it, so he goes with the stickier board. As we can see, it's gonna be answered with a turn 6 Arthur, which will make things really complicated for Crimson. Here we get the standard Sword Mirror trading pattern with turn 6 Arthur against turn 6 Arthur, where the Lancers trade with the 2/2s and you evolve Arthur to reduce the rest of the board. Then we get to the turn 7. Toto has the chance of being able to play a Sky Fortress on 7, which will most of the time be the correct play. What's more interesting is how he chooses to use the buff. He could use it on Arthur to get more card draw, but he decides to go for Valtz, as it will provide him with a way stickier board. Having higher toughness creatures will kind of stop Crimson from trading into this board. Then we get to Crimson's turn 7, where he has a wealth of options, but not any great one. The turn 7 is one of the most important turns in the mid-sword mirror matchup. This is where the result is usually decided. Until turn 7, both players will be trading resources because that's how the deck is built, but starting from turn 7, it's possible to create turns that your opponent has a really hard time answering, and Sky Fortress plays a huge role in that. As we can see here, the really high toughness and sticky board from Toto is causing a lot of problems for Crimson. he can go for Luminous Mage, but then his remaining play will not be able to interact with the board. He could be going with the White Queen to get a token, but same as Luminous Mage, he wouldn't be able to do anything interesting with his remaining 3 mana. He could use Barbarossa to trade with Volts and try to get Barbarossa back next turn, but his opponent will likely not overextend in Barbarossa, and he will just be getting Barbarossa for 8 mana. In the end, Crimson decides to go for a Luminous Mage and a Vault because it is the play that will leave him with the biggest board. Unfortunately, Toto draws a Lancer of the Tempest and punishes his decisions really hard. At the same time, there was no good play against an upcoming Lancer of the Tempest, so Crimson sort of had to play into it. Then we arrive on Crimson's turn 8, where he is not able to present a threat as well as clearing the opposing board. So he's able to make the board clear, but at the cost of losing all tempo. The turn 9s are pretty uneventful, with both players just trying to muster up a board and trading as well as they can. And the next really interesting turn is Toto's turn 10. On turn 10, he decides to play Prim and not play the 0 mana 2/3 Ward Bane or a 2/2 ward. He plays his bullet from Vault and goes face. He's patient as he wants to be able to mount an unsurmountable board advantage in the next few turns. Crimson, knowing he's dead to Celia if he doesn't have a ward, is sort of obliged to play the Sky Fortress and give ward to the Hedgehog, and this plays directly into Toto's plan. Toto gets to turn 11 with a golden opportunity to get rid of his opponent board, presenting 5 creatures, all the while having a 4/6 Prim ready to threaten lethal. This makes it so Crimson is unable to clear on his turn 11, and this is where the game is finished. Not playing the 2/3 Ward Bane on turn 10 was really a huge decision from Toto. He decided to trade 7 of his life points against tempo. He knew the Hedgehog will be going to his face, but it didn't really matter. He was still at 20. He could afford to use his life total as a resource in that situation. That's what it did. It helped him create a really great board on turn 11, which is how you close out the game in the Sword Mirror, and this gave him the win. The Sword Mirror is really a great matchup from the gameplay perspective. There are tons of small edges to be gained, tons of decisions over the course of the game, and I hope you were able to see it in that game. So this will mark the end of the first Tournament Tuesday. The biggest takeaway is that in the Sword Mirror, you should be focusing on developing your board, going as wide as possible. This is what both players did on every single turn, and this is how they made it to the elimination round of the Rage Open. The other takeaway is that while Support Cannon is a good card, it's not everything. Don't be afraid to mulligan it, as it can be hard to slam it on turn 5. So once again, if you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and give me a follow on Twitter. Tomorrow I'll be coming back with a more casual video. I will be opening 45 packs of Dawnbreak Night Age since the mini expansion is coming up. See you guys tomorrow and have a good day.